This is a Q&A special episode looking at the history of Qantas Airways from its founding in 1920 through to the end of World War II in 1945. Our story begins in the early 1920s, when several prominent Australian businessmen had become interested in the possibilities of aviation. Men such as Hudson Fysh, Paul McGuinness, and Fergus McMaster had witnessed firsthand the potential of aircraft when they accompanied the Australian flying boat, the VC-8 Air, on a flight from Sydney to Lord Howe Island and back. This trip took place in February 1919 and made a strong impression on these men who would soon come together to establish an airline. Queensland was chosen as the base for this new enterprise, due to the state government's progressive policies towards aviation. On the 16th of November 1920, Queensland and Northern Territory Aerial Services, better known as Qantas, was established with Paul McGuinness as managing director, Hudson Fysh as general manager, and Fergus McMaster as operations manager. The fourth founder, Arthur Baird, served as the company's secretary. All four men had significant stakes in the company. Initially, Qantas's main business was providing mail services with one Avro 504K biplane operating daily flights between Charleville and Cunnamulla in Queensland. This route was selected because it provided essential airmail service to remote areas not previously accessible by this means. Soon after, passenger flights were introduced on the same route, with passengers seated in the open cockpit of the Avro biplanes. Fares for the 40-minute flight between Charleville and Cundarin were set at 10 shillings for first class and 7 shillings and sixpence for second class. By December 1920, Qantas had expanded its network to include flights from Brisbane to Mackay, with a stopover in Rockhampton. These flights used a larger Avro 534, which could carry 2 pilots, 2 passengers, and ample mail. Additionally, the company commenced a twice-weekly mail and passenger service between Brisbane and Thursday Island in the Torres Strait, utilizing a 250-horsepower Bristol-powered Avro 504. In May 1921, Qantas secured a contract with the Commonwealth Government to provide an airmail service between the eastern states and the Western Australian goldfields. This led to the establishment of Australia's first airmail sorting and delivery system and marked a significant milestone for the young airline. During the first year of operation, Qantas experienced numerous mechanical issues due to the poor reliability of the Avro 504 aircraft. However, the company persevered and continued to expand its services. By March 1922, Qantas had grown to become the largest airline in the British Empire. Throughout 1922, Qantas continued to grow and innovate, introducing new routes, aircraft, and services to meet the demands of the Australian market. For instance, in April of that year, the airline started a weekly passenger and mail service between Brisbane and Thursday Island using the Bristol fighter. In May 1922, Qantas took delivery of a new Avro 534 biplane, which was equipped with a 330-horsepower Rolls-Royce Eagle engine. This aircraft allowed Qantas to transport more mail and offer additional passenger services. Notably, the Avro 534 became the first twin-engine aircraft to land on Thursday Island, highlighting the airline's commitment to expanding its reach. However, the Avro 534 proved problematic and was eventually sold to become the first Avro to operate in New Zealand with New Zealand Airways. Despite this setback, Qantas pressed on, and in July 1922, the airline introduced a daily passenger and mail service between Brisbane and Townsville with a stop-in at Bowen. This new route enabled Qantas to connect the coastal communities of northern Queensland. In August 1922, Qantas celebrated its first birthday. During this time, the airline operated for routes between 8 centres and employed 25 staff members. The airline's success was evident, having transported 13,000 passengers, flown over 700,000 miles, and delivered 55 tons of mail by air. As the popularity of air travel grew, so did the demand for luxury and comfort. In response, Qantas introduced a new luxury airliner called the Iris. The Iris offered spaciousness, comfort, and luxurious appointments, catering to the needs of discerning travelers. Tragedy struck in December 1922 when Qantas's third aircraft, an Avro 534, crashed into a paddock near Warwick while attempting to land. Both pilots lost their lives in the accident. Despite this setback, Qantas continued to expand its services. In January 1923, the airline introduced a daily passenger and mail service between Brisbane and Normanton in northern Queensland. Additionally, Qantas began operating a weekly airmail service between Brisbane and Melbourne. At this time, the airmail service between Brisbane and Melbourne was extended to fortnightly with the use of the DH-16. In June 1923, Qantas introduced a new timetable for its luxury airliner, the Iris. The timetable offered flexible travel options for passengers traveling between Brisbane and Townsville. By September 1923, Qantas had grown to become the largest airline in the British Empire, operating 10 aircraft and carrying 13,000 passengers. Over the past 2 years, the airline's success continued with increased mail loads and a growing reputation for reliability. In October 1923, Qantas introduced a new fare structure for passengers traveling between Brisbane and Thursday Island. The fares were designed to be affordable for travelers, while still generating revenue for the airline. Despite the challenges of operating in a remote and rugged terrain, Qantas pressed on and continued to expand its services. In November 1923, the airline introduced a new timetable for its luxury airliner, the Iris, offering passengers more travel options. In December 1923, tragedy struck again when one of Qantas's aircraft crashed into a paddock near Warwick while attempting to land, killing both pilots. Despite this setback, Qantas continued to expand its services. In 1924, Qantas introduced a new aircraft, the de Havilland DH-50, to its fleet. The DH-50 was a larger and more powerful aircraft that allowed Qantas to increase the amount of mail and passengers it could carry. This move marked a significant step in the airline's growth and enabled it to better serve its customers. The DH-50's larger size also allowed Qantas to expand its route network, connecting more communities across Australia. With this new capability, Qantas was able to solidify its position as a major player in the Australian aviation industry. On June 1, 1925, Qantas officially changed its name from Queensland and Northern Territory Aerial Services to Qantas Airways Limited. This rebranding reflected the airline's growth and its expanded operations beyond Queensland and the Northern Territory. The new name signified Qantas's commitment to providing quality air services to a wider audience. In November 1929, Qantas Airways made history by becoming the first airline in the Southern Hemisphere to operate a scheduled international flight. The inaugural flight departed Brisbane, Australia, and arrived in Singapore, marking a significant milestone in aviation history. This achievement solidified Qantas's reputation as a trailblazer in the airline industry and paved the way for further international expansion. In 1934, Qantas Airways partnered with Imperial Airways to form a joint aviation company named Qantas Empire Airways. This collaboration enabled Qantas to tap into Imperial Airways' extensive global network, allowing them to offer more extensive travel options to their passengers. The partnership also facilitated the exchange of expertise and resources, contributing to the growth and development of both airlines. Following the official incorporation of Qantas Empire Airways on August 1, 1934, the newly merged entity began trading shares on the Australian Stock Exchange. This move allowed investors to own a piece of the airline and participate in its future success. The listing on the stock exchange also provided Qantas with access to capital markets, enabling the airline to fund its operations and expansion plans. In 1935, Qantas Airways introduced its first overseas scheduled passenger services, expanding its reach beyond Australia. These services connected various destinations in Asia and the Pacific, providing travelers with more travel options and convenient connections. The introduction of international routes marked a significant milestone in Qantas's growth and established the airline as a key player in the Asia-Pacific region. The outbreak of World War II in 1939 brought significant changes to Qantas Airways operations. As the conflict escalated, the airline's focus shifted towards providing aircraft and services for military purposes. Qantas contributed to the war effort by transporting troops, supplies and equipment to various destinations, including the Middle East and Europe. The airline's aircraft and crew played a vital role in supporting military operations during this time. In 1940, Qantas Empire Airways made the decision to suspend dividend payments to shareholders. This move was prompted by the challenging economic conditions brought on by World War II. The airline's priority at the time was to allocate its resources towards supporting the war effort rather than generating profits for shareholders. The decision to forego dividends was seen as a necessary measure to ensure the airline's financial stability during the ongoing conflict. By 1946, Qantas Airways had emerged from the challenges of World War II and was ready to embark on a new chapter of growth and expansion. The end of the war brought with it a surge in demand for air travel, as people around the world looked to reconnect and explore new destinations. Qantas was well positioned to capitalize on this opportunity. In the immediate post-war years, the airline began the process of rebuilding its fleet and services, setting the stage for an exciting era of post-war expansion. As the world began to heal and recover from the devastation of the war, Qantas was there to connect people and transport them to their destinations, contributing to the revival of global travel and trade. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider supporting the channel. Your support helps to ensure that we can continue to produce high-quality aviation content.